Welcome to the next edition of the Rare Business Podcast. With me today, I'm delighted to say, is Michael O'Leary of Ryanair, the Chief Executive of Ryanair, no less. But first of all, we have quite a lot of here on my blog and the podcast and things. We have quite a lot of readers and listeners in the US, and I wonder if you could maybe just do a quick kind of intro on yourself for the benefit of some US audience, just because they may not necessarily be as familiar with you as some people are in the UK.
Sure. Well, my name is Michael O'Leary. I'm the Chief Executive of Ryanair. Ryanair is the world's largest international airline, but is Europe's biggest low-fares airline. We're the European version of Southwest Airlines.
Yeah. Which
itself was modelled by an Irish visionary called Herb Kelleher.
Yeah.
Now I'm younger, better looking, don't drink as much bourbon as Herb, but we're very much transforming the air transport landscape of Europe in the same way that Southwest revolutionized air travel in North America. This year, Ryanair will operate a fleet of over 300 Boeing 737 aircraft, so we carry 100 million international passengers, making us, by some considerable distance, the biggest airline in Europe. I think number two would be EasyJet and Lufthansa, who both carry about 60 million.
Excellent. Now, Michael, I wrote a piece, we were just talking then, I wrote a piece on Forbes a few weeks ago, and you were very, very kind enough to write me a response in a letter. And first of all, I want to say thank you for that, because it's not very often that I get direct responses from CEOs of very large firms like yours. But in the letter, you said that you do care. I questioned about whether or not you were being pragmatic with some of the new developments in Ryanair and the improving the customer service and the experience and things, and asked whether you were just being pragmatic or not. But you wrote in the letter that you said you do care about customers, and that's what you've spent the last 28 years doing in terms of driving down the cost of airfares. But does it mean that now that you think, whilst costs are still really important, also service and experience are becoming more and more important?
I think what we've done, there's so many different airlines who, generally have a terrible image for customer service.
Yeah.
And a ludicrous amount of money trying to persuade people that they care about customers when actually all they're doing is increasing the price of air travel.
Right.
With things like fuel surcharges and ludicrously high prices. Mm-hmm. I think what makes us different, and certainly Ryanair different, is we've really cared about customers for the last 20 years because we've been the only airline actively driving down the cost of air travel in Europe and providing real choice and competition to other, certainly the flag carrier airlines. Mm-hmm. Now, I do think that for maybe the last 20 years, it was all about getting big quickly and piling it high and selling it cheap, not unlike the way Walmart have done for many years in the US.
Right.
But as we have grown from being, a challenger brand over 20 years, being a small Irish airline and then a small European airline, to being the biggest airline in Europe, we need to do more than just offer customers the lowest fares in every market, although that works tremendously well. We now have to offer, some customers don't like what we were doing. They didn't like, for example, free seating, so we changed it last year. We've gone back to allocated seating.
Right.
They didn't like, for example, that we restricted everybody to one carry-on bag. We said, fine, we'll hear you. We now bring on a second small carry-on bag or shopping bag on board. And there's been a whole series of changes where I think what we've learned is what made us successful and what will continue to make Ryanair successful is having lower fares than every other airline in Europe. But we want to do more, and the bit we want to do is listen to our customers, and where it doesn't impact on our cost base, and meet what our customers are asking, or do what our customers are asking us to do. So allocated seating, free second carry-on bag, distribution through travel agents, which we had pulled off about 10 or 15 years ago, we now all do. But one of the big successes for us has been new products last year where we specifically catered to business passengers and also families traveling with young children. And that's been an enormous area of growth for us because we carry so many families and so many business people.
Okay, so it's not like some other people have been commenting that you had this kind of road to Damascus moment then?
No, but that Damascene conversion, and I think the image of somebody, big businessman or successful business going, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa, we made a mistake. We recognize we made a mistake, and now we're going to correct that mistake. Is a very powerful and successful communications tool.
Yeah.
Because I think, one of the areas where it's been easy for our competitors to slide off Ryanair is, that we're cheap and nasty. And I think there's been an element of our service that has been cheap and nasty in recent years. And that's my mistake. And I think we have to be big enough. And a degree of humility always succeeds in business.
Sure.
We made mistakes. We're listening now to our customers. We're changing those areas where we made mistakes. And I hope that we have learned from our mistakes. And I hope that I personally will keep learning from the mistakes I made.
Excellent. I mean, you mentioned kind of Herb Kelleher and Southwest Airlines earlier on, and actually I think I've seen it written somewhere that back in the very, very early days of Ryanair that you actually went and studied Southwest Airlines. I mean, is that right?
Well, I went drinking with Herb for a night in Texas, but unfortunately I don't remember much of it because I was drunk by about 8 o'clock in the evening, whereas Herb kept going to about 2 o'clock in the morning. But it's true, we studied the Southwest model. And we were the first airline in Europe to replicate a lot of what Southwest did. So single airline fleet type, all Boeing 737s, no business class, all economy.
Right.
Quick turnarounds, 25 minutes. Keeping the aircraft flying, employing younger, really very friendly cabin crew pilots, and that's all been terrifically successful. But I think where we have, if you like, in the last 10 years, Southwest is no longer the lowest cost airline in the US in many cases, so their cost base is high by US standards, whereas Ryanair has stayed zealously focused on the original Southwest culture of being the lowest cost airline in every market and the lowest fare airline in every market. No other airline can compete with us on price.
Right.
Whereas in the US, many airlines now compete successfully with Southwest on price.
So actually, in many ways, you're going back to almost like revisiting or kind of like the original kind of Southwest kind of model, where it's about cost, but it's also about service as well. I mean, the original idea.
Low fares and fun.
Yeah.
And it has been a spectacularly successful learning experience for Ryanair over the last 12 months. In that, our load factor has jumped, our traffic has jumped, our profits have jumped, even despite the fact that we've kept the airfares flat over the last 12 months.
Yeah.
And I keep saying, if I'd known that being nicer to my customers was going to be so good for business, that was only years ago.
Yeah, indeed. So what sort of things, I mean, are you turning yourselves into you're going to turn yourself into a paean of customer experience and customer service? I mean, what can we expect next from Ryanair?
Well, I think the important thing is to say that the primary element of the customer experience, 99.9% of passengers, intending passengers, always, and particularly on the internet, call a traveller, say, what's the lowest fare?
Yeah.
They want low prices.
Yes.
But they don't want low prices and an unresponsive customer service. So I think what we set forward, and this year we've launched a new customer charter, is we guarantee to offer the lowest fare in every market, but we're also going to attend to your needs.
Right.
So this year, for example, which is the year 2 of our Always Getting Better program, we've launched a US dollar or a US website so that US customers, kids traveling all over Europe, can now make bookings on Ryanair, pay in dollars, eliminate the currency exposure. We have a new customer charter. We're cutting again our airport and sports equipment fees. We're launching a new native, specially designed mobile app, a personalised website. We've last week, in fact, signed up a new GDS deal with Sabre, so that we're now visible in all of the travel agency screens.
Okay.
And uniquely this year, and we're the first airline in the world to do it, we're going to put a price comparison on our own website. So if you go on the Ryanair website later on this year and put in, Pisa, for example, on a certain date, not only will you get our fare, but we're going to show you all the competitor airline lowest fares for that date and for that itinerary.
Okay.
And no other airline would do that because they would be afraid that Ryanair would undercut them. Whereas we're willing to do it. And on those rare occasions where some other airline has a promotional offer or a lower fare, you can check out the Ryanair website onto that competitor airline fare. Fantastic. So we're going to deliver transparency, real choice, and we're going to measure ourselves against any other airline by having price comparison feature up on the Ryanair.com website.
Excellent. And can we expect you to be crossing the big pond at some point in the future as well?
And we would like to, but I think it's a remote possibility at the moment. You know, we can't source a fleet of long-haul aircraft, mainly because the Gulf carriers have mocked up all the production of Boeing and Airbus for the next number of years.
Right.
But we'd certainly like to do a low-fare transatlantic service, but it's probably 4 or 5 years away at the moment until the valuations of long-haul aircraft fall and the backlog of orders get dealt with.
Okay. Finally, I just want to say again, it's like thank you for coming in and sort of.
No, it's my pleasure.
Well, one kind of responding, and two kind of like arranging to time to kind of chat. And you know, Michael, the one thing I always finish my interviews on, particularly the ones that I record for a podcast, is this: is there anything that you would like to shamelessly plug?
I wouldn't shamelessly plug Ryanair's lowest fares because no other airline can compete with our prices across Europe. But if I was going to shamelessly plug what I've learned in the last 12 months, it's humility.
Right.
And it's very difficult for somebody who's Irish to be humble. You know, since we generally believe we walk on water here in this island, despite the state of our economy. But we do make mistakes, and I think I have in Ryanair to continuously learn from the mistakes I make.
Yeah.
And the key mistake I've made in recent years is not listening enough to our customers, and that's a mistake that I'm not going to repeat again. We're now not just offering the lowest fares, but listening actively to our customers and responding when our customers tell us they'd like to do something.
Fantastic. Michael, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I just want to say thank you again for your time. And
my pleasure, Adrian.
And I'll let you know when all this goes live, and kind of I'll watch your progress with with great interest.
Good, and let's keep in touch. And my best wishes to all the readers in Forbes. Great magazine.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Okay, God bless. Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.